Warning: although this podcast revolves around Disney, Disney movies, and Disney-related themes, we have a tendency to use mature language which is not suitable for all ages. Discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a bit of a hiatus, but the Ocho and Ortiz Disney podcast is back in your life. What are we discussing today? Stay tuned and find out. Let's get this stuff started. Buddy Josh, how's it going?
Oh, it's a going. We are back after some technical difficulties, that is.
Yeah.
That's why we missed a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 3-week layoff, but we are back after 3 weeks. I say 3 weeks because we are recording this on June the 6th, but I am going to be going away this week, so I'm not going to be doing any editing. So by the time this episode actually uploads, it'll have been a 3-week hiatus. But yeah, hopefully everybody enjoyed the bit of the break. We really appreciate everybody that's been sharing the videos and liking the videos and everything on our Facebook page. We had, I think, 57 shares of our last episode on the Muppet Christmas Carol. So
yeah, everybody seemed to love that fucking thing.
Yeah, so big thank you to everybody that listened to that, who shared it, who passed it around.
Saw a lot of comments on that too.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of comments.
And we certainly appreciate that. We definitely love hearing the feedback. I try to respond to as many comments as possible. So guys, feel free to leave us comments, whether it be on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page, or on any podcast and platform that you're listening to this on. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and of course Podbean. Ocho and Ortiz DisneyPod.podbean.com. And those social medias, you can find us on Facebook at Ocho and Ortiz DisneyPod. Facebook.com/Ocho and Ortiz DisneyPod, Instagram at Ocho and Ortiz DisneyPod, and on Twitter at Ocho Ortiz Disney. So be sure you give us a follow, like, and a listen. And again, leave us some comments. Hopefully everyone is doing well. I know there's a lot of unrest in the world right now, a lot of crazy shit happening. We're not going to get into that. And the reason we're not going to get into that is because we're here for entertainment purposes. We know people sometimes need a bit of an escapism from the shit that's going on. So that's what we're here to provide. So we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. Josh, you picked this week's episode. So why don't you tell everybody what you decided that we were going to review this week?
Well, with this, at the time, the second release, because we watched this, 2-3 weeks ago now.
Well, I just rewatched it again.
Yeah, you rewatched. I didn't think like that. They had just released Maleficent 2 onto Disney Plus, so I had just watched that, and I thought, you know what, let's do Maleficent 1, something you have not seen. I really enjoyed it when it did come out, and I hadn't seen it probably since it came out. So yeah, I wanted to do Maleficent.
Yeah, and that's what we're gonna get into. And this is a different spin on Maleficent, because in Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent is really just the pure evil villain. And she is known in Disney as one of the most evil villains in all of Disney animated history.
Yeah, I mean, in Descendants, Beast calls her the most evil person of all time, right?
You had to throw in Descendants, didn't you?
I mean, as soon as you said that, the quote kind of came to my head. I wasn't even thinking about it, but as soon as you said that, that quote literally popped into my head of when, in the first movie, when Ben says Maleficent's name, his father just fucking freaks out going, oh my god, she's the most evil person in all the land, or whatever it was. So, I mean, yeah. But little throwback.
She's definitely known as the most evil one of the most, if not the most evil characters in all of Disney films. So this actually provides a little bit of a different spin on Maleficent, though. And in this one, and I'm sorry if people hear in the background, I am doing laundry, so you may hear the washer and dryer going, because I can hear it in my headphones. So it may be picking up on the recording, and if it is, I apologize. But in this episode, it's really, they're trying to redeem Maleficent. They're actually trying to make her more of the heroine than anything else. Yes, they get into her being evil, but they show that there's a reason as to why she's evil. So, it's sort of that moral of the story is that everybody has a good side and everybody has a bad side, except the king, who is just completely evil in this movie after a certain point. But Josh, this was your movie. So do you want to get us started and get the discussion going for it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it starts off as when Maleficent is just a child. She is a fairy, right? And she still has I haven't seen Sleeping Beauty in the longest fucking time, but she does not have wings back then, right? In the cartoon and stuff.
I don't think so, because she still has the crow in the cartoon version.
Yeah. So yeah, she doesn't. She's just flying around in the moors, and then she tells her that there's an intruder, so they go to see. She flies over there, and it's a little boy who went to go steal something, and that boy and her become friends, and then more as they grow up, hanging out together, because it's kind of just like a montage after that point, right, with them growing up and everything.
Yeah. And just for reference, in the original animated film, Maleficent does not have wings. She just has like the cape or whatever it is that she wears. But yeah, no. So it's the montage of her growing up with the character that's going to turn out to be the king. And
yeah, Stefan.
Yeah, Stefan and Aurora's father. And, the narration talks about how young friendship ends up turning into young love. And, they do end up falling in love. But Stefan does make his intentions clear that he wants to become the king one day and live in the castle.
Yeah. But then I remember one of the things, kind of a key point, sort of, is that on her 16th birthday, he gives her a kiss and calls it True Love's Kiss.
Oh,
right?
Shit, I've watched it twice and I've missed that.
Oh yeah,
there
was the narration of that part of he's like for her birthday he bestows a kiss and he says that it's true love's kiss, right?
Shit, completely missed that.
I mean, like, it kind of makes sense later on, right?
Yes.
Of why, yeah. So they're still teenagers then. Then montage keeps going and we finally see Angelina Jolie, who is now playing Maleficent.
Yeah, adult Maleficent.
Yeah, adult Maleficent. And then we haven't seen Stefan in a while.
No, we get a scene of the current king of the kingdom, yes, whose name escapes me. I don't even know if his name was actually mentioned. And
I think he was just the king.
Yeah, he was just the king. And he was trying to rule over the Moors. And basically, Maleficent is trying to protect the Moors. And she basically meets him at the edge, at the entrance of the forest, and holds off his troops with other creatures from the Moors. And this kind of really pisses off the king. And basically, he after the battle scene and after Maleficent and the Moors are shown to be victorious, we sort of see the king on his deathbed. And he basically says that whoever can kill Maleficent will be next in line to be the king, which, I mean, I guess is because he didn't have any children and any heirs, because usually that's how kingship works. That's how the royal bloodline works. It usually passes down to your children.
But he had a daughter, right?
What's that?
He had a daughter, Aurora's mother.
Yeah, he did. So she should have. Oh, well, I guess whoever defeated Maleficent would become her husband, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But that's not the way it's said in the movie. Like, in the movie, it's basically like whoever defeats Maleficent will be king. I didn't, maybe it's something else that I missed, but I didn't hear him say that they would get like his daughter's hand in marriage. But I mean, I guess that kind of goes without saying, but it also adds a bit of confusion, I think. So out of nowhere, Stefan appears. I don't know what the hell his role is at the time. I guess maybe just like a servant to the king. Again,
yeah,
something that's not really made clear. But so Stefan hears this, and Stefan obviously knows Maleficent really well. So he goes into the forest to talk to her, and he basically tries to warn her that the king is going to stop at nothing until she's dead. And she doesn't want to have any of it, but they hang out, they chill together, and then he gives her something to drink, and she passes out. And he remembers something that she told him when they were children, which is that iron burns fairies.
Yeah.
So he goes to stab her with an iron knife, but he can't do it. So instead, he cuts off her wings and brings her wings back to the king as proof that he killed Maleficent. Obviously, he didn't, but if he has the wings, he figures that's going to be enough proof. And it works. The king basically tells him he's next in line to become the king after he dies. And then we see a shot of Maleficent waking up without her wings and just like completely heartbroken and pissed off.
Yeah. Destroyed, crying, like she can barely get up, she can't walk. After that, like she really can't walk. That's when she makes her staff because, you know, she also has magical powers.
Magical powers, which apparently can't help her regrow her fucking wings. It can do everything else. And yes, I am stealing that from CinemaSins because I saw CinemaSins cover this. And he points that out throughout the entire episode of CinemaSins, is that she has all these magic powers, but she can't grow her own fucking wings back.
You know what? I haven't watched that, but I might have to go watch that. I love CinemaSins, and I haven't watched them in a long time. So I think any movie we're going to review from now on that's a Disney thing, if there's a CinemaSins, I'm going to watch it.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. But this is why you don't fall in love, folks, because the people that claim to love you are going to just eventually stab you in the back and leave you without your wings, or in reality, without your heart. So I think the true moral of the story is don't fall in love.
Don't fall. Wow, that's a yeah.
I have left Josh speechless.
If that's what Disney's been trying to say for years, boy, did we interpret the rap wrong.
That's been their whole message for many, many years. Don't fall in love.
Yeah, apparently.
But so she gets pissed off, and anyways, we then see a raven getting attacked by some of the king's men who have dogs with them, and it's basically the dogs that are attacking the raven. And she helps save the raven by turning him into like a humanoid male and basically using her magic to scare off the guards and the dogs and everything. And so what's the name of the character for the raven?
Oh, give me 2 seconds. Fuck, what is his name? I think it starts with a D. Yeah, Diaval.
Yeah, Diaval. So he basically is thankful to Maleficent, and as a way of showing his gratitude, he says that he is now her servant, and he asks if there's anything that she needs, and that's when she says, "Wings. I need you to be my wings." So she basically has him as the lookout to see what's going on in the kingdom with King Stefan. And, you know, a little bit of time passes, and then we find out that the king and queen are going to have a daughter, Aurora. So Duval, goes back to Maleficent and lets her know. And so she's intrigued by this, obviously, because she wants to pay back Stefan and hurt him the way he hurt her. So it's the day of Aurora's christening, and we have 3 fairies from the moors that come and attend And from this point forward, I'm going to refer to them as the 3 fucking morons because that's what they are. And
okay. I don't know if you've ever seen. Have you watched the Harry Potter movies?
No.
Oh my god. Okay. I don't know if you would get it then. Never mind.
We won't get into Harry Potter, but
Right.
So we have the 3 fucking moron fairies that have come to bestow gifts upon Aurora, and one of them is the gift of beauty. One of them is the gift of kindness. And I can't remember if we got to the third one or if Maleficent interrupted before the third one was given out.
I think Maleficent interrupted. I think as she was about to say it, Maleficent walked in.
Yeah, I think so. So Maleficent shows up, and obviously Stefan knows her very, very well, and he basically tries to get her to leave and leave Aurora alone, but Maleficent insists on also being able to give Aurora a gift. And that gift is that she will have beauty and kindness, but upon her 16th birthday, she will prick her finger upon a spinning wheel, and she will fall asleep for all of eternity until she is awoken by true love's kiss.
Yeah.
And so with that, Maleficent leaves, and the 3 fucking morons are put in charge of raising Aurora in the forest, which makes no sense because the forest is where fucking Maleficent is. So the logic behind that makes no goddamn fucking sense, but I digress. And so, as the 3 fucking morons are raising Aurora, King Stefan orders that all the spinning wheels get banned, get burned, get locked in a dungeon. So that's what happens. And then we basically get Aurora being raised by the 3 fucking morons.
I think I'm gonna laugh every time you fucking say that.
Like, they were kind of dumb and inept in the cartoon, but like this movie just took it to a whole nother fucking level. And my God, oh God, like these 3 fucking morons, like they're just, So basically, because they're so inept, they can't even look after Aurora properly. And we see that it's basically Maleficent that helps to raise Aurora and make sure she's okay and she gets raised properly, which to me makes no sense because she wants to hurt Stefan. So the best way to hurt Stefan, I mean, she already put the curse on. She could just let Aurora get abandoned by the 3 fucking morons. And like, we see there's that scene where Aurora wanders off on her own because the 3 morons aren't looking after her properly because they're fighting with each other. And Aurora almost falls off a cliff because she's chasing down a butterfly, but Maleficent helps save her. Now, if she really wanted to hurt Stefan, she could have just let the kid, like, fall to her death. I'm not for that, right? I'm not preaching the death of children. I'm just saying if Maleficent really wanted to hurt Stefan, that could have been it right there. And she wouldn't have had anything to do with it, right? It would have been the negligence of these 3 fucking moron fairies. So, but Maleficent decides that she's gonna help Aurora. So we see that it's basically Maleficent that does all the raising of Aurora and making sure she grows up to be good and everything. And if there's anything that you want to say, feel free to jump in.
No, it's great right now so far. You're not wrong. It's pretty funny. I mean, she kind of gets the little nudge there from Diaval, right?
Yeah.
Because as Aurora was about to fall off, Diaval said you can't let her just fall, and then she saves her.
She saves her.
Maleficent gets that little nudge from Diaval, so that kind of works out.
But I mean, it's not just that, right? Like, we see even before that she's helping to, like, raise Aurora because she's feeding, she's getting Diaval to take food and everything to Aurora because the 3 fucking morons aren't smart enough to feed a fucking baby.
Yeah, yeah. You're not wrong there.
So, anyways, we then get to a scene where Aurora is, I don't know, maybe, let's say 5 or 6, maybe a little bit younger, maybe 4 or 5. And she's wandering around alone in the woods again, because again, the 3 fucking morons are terrible at their job and just completely neglect her. And this is the first time Aurora actually runs into Maleficent. And this is where we first start to see Maleficent and Aurora bond with each other. And Maleficent tries to basically shoo Aurora away at first, but Aurora just stands there and says, up, because she wants to be lifted up. So Maleficent picks her up, and little toddler Aurora starts to like feel Maleficent's horns and like her feathers on her cape or whatever the fuck it is. And, you know, I think this is the first time Maleficent refers to Aurora as Beastie. And anyway, she finally puts Aurora down, shoos her, and tells her to be on her way. And I'm trying to remember the movie as best as I can, because I didn't actually take notes, even though I've watched it 2 times. I was totally intending on taking notes when I watched it for the second time earlier today, and then I was like, nah, fuck this. I don't feel like taking notes.
Me.
So I
did that with something else we were reviewing one time, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna take notes, and then I didn't. I literally have it written down on like my notebook. Whatever the review is, what we're doing, it's at the very top of the notebook.
It was probably Little Mermaids where you were gonna take notes, and then you were like, fuck it.
No, because Little Mermaid is classic. You don't need notes for Little Mermaid. It was Secretariat. I just found it.
Oh, okay.
Secretariat review right there, and then nothing else on the page.
See, I normally take notes on my phone, and then I can just type on my phone as I watch, but I was like, I'm too fucking lazy today. This isn't happening.
I don't know why. I've always just like taking notes for stuff like that, like in like a notebook. Even when at wrestling shows, I do that. Right?
Yeah, I used to do that with wrestling shows, and then I just started taking notes in my phone and stuff. Mm-hmm. So forgive me if we skip over some stuff, which is probably going to be the case.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I want to try to keep it under 50 minutes anyways, right? So it'll be fine if we miss some stuff. So basically, as Aurora gets older and grows, and we see her interacting with Maleficent, we also see King Stefan go deeper and deeper into madness as he prepares to try to take on Maleficent. And he orders the ironworkers to create all this stuff to try to burn down. Well, first he orders the forest to be burned down, but the fire does nothing with the wall of trees that Maleficent has put up. And then he sends some soldiers all dressed in iron into the forest to try to fight Maleficent, but Maleficent manages to hold them off. This is kind of a funny scene because she uses Diaval by turning him into a wolf to help attack the soldiers. Yeah. And he gets pissed off about it afterwards because, you know, when they first met, he was being attacked by dogs. And he's like, why would you do that to me? And she's like, well, I didn't turn you into a dog. I turned you into a wolf. And he's like, well, it's the same thing. So a little bit of a funny moment between Diaval and Maleficent.
Yeah, Diaval's an awesome character.
Yeah.
In this movie.
I don't know who the actor was that played him, but he did a really good job. I really enjoyed it.
I think his name is Sam Riley? Yes, Sam Riley.
Yeah, I had it up on IMDb a couple minutes ago, and then I shut it. So, yeah, so good job, Sam Riley. Did a tremendous job in that role. And so, as Maleficent becomes more and more attached to Aurora, she starts to regret putting the curse on her.
Oh yeah, so during that scene, with Diaval as the wolf, isn't that not where Aurora finds them as well? So like a teenage Aurora.
Yeah, so she finds them. Well, just after that, because she's in the forest alone and she doesn't see them, right? She's just looking through the trees trying to figure out what's on the other side. And then when Maleficent notices the soldiers that she puts a spell on Aurora to make her fall asleep, so she doesn't see the attack on with the soldiers and everything, right? And then after that scene is where Aurora is sort of in the forest. Basically, Maleficent is testing her to test her heart to see how pure her heart is, right? So Maleficent hides in the shadows and allows the creatures of the moors to like show themselves, because ever since she turned into mean Maleficent, everybody's sort of hidden out of fear of her. So all these sort of glow up creatures appear in the forest to Aurora, and Aurora interacts with them and she's playing with them and everything. And then all of a sudden these glow up creatures, I don't know what they're called, they sense Maleficent, so they take off. And then Aurora kind of senses Maleficent, and that's when she's like, it's okay, you can come out. Like, you don't have to be afraid of me. And that's when Maleficent replies with, it's not me that's going to be the one that's afraid. And so Maleficent shows herself, and Aurora's like, I know you. You're my fairy godmother. I've seen you in the shadows taking care of me my entire life, which kind of takes Maleficent aback because she didn't expect Aurora to see her as her fairy godmother. Mm-hmm. Like, Aurora sees the good in Maleficent, and Maleficent wasn't prepared for that. So that's sort of when the tides start to turn and when Maleficent starts to regret putting the spell on Aurora. So anyways, they get to talking, and Aurora is all excited and everything. And then I guess Aurora starts talking too much, and Maleficent doesn't want to catch the feelings too hard. So that's when Maleficent puts Aurora back to sleep and puts her back in the house. And as Aurora is sleeping, Maleficent tries to revoke the curse, but because when she put the curse on, she used the words that there is no power that will be able to break this curse other than true love's kiss. She's unable to revoke the curse. I didn't catch that the first time I watched the movie. I'm kind of glad I'm kind of glad I rewatched the movie for a second time, because I was prepared to rip that scene. Because when I first watched it, I thought she had successfusly reversed the curse, but watching it back, she's unable to, because the words from her original spell come back to hurt her, and she can't break the curse. So that was something I only noticed upon the second viewing of it. So anyways, it's getting closer and closer to Aurora's 16th birthday. And I think it's the day before her birthday, she meets the prince in the forest, Prince Charming, and they're sort of talking to each other and everything. And the prince is letting her know that he's on his way to the castle to see the king. And anyways, they have a brief interaction. He takes off, and Aurora has decided that she wants to live in the moors with Maleficent. And she's made that clear to Maleficent. And basically she says, I'm going to tell the three fucking morons that have been raising me completely inadequately. My words, not hers, for the record. And so she goes to talk to the three fucking morons to let them know that she wants to stay in the moors forever. And they're, kind of shocked by this, because they're fully expecting to take her back to King Stefan, and they want to go back to being fairies again, because they've had to make themselves human and not use their powers or anything while they've been taking care of her, because they haven't done jack fucking shit to take care of her properly.
Sorry.
But so they sit her down and tell her everything that happened, that basically Maleficent has put a spell on her, and that, she is the daughter of the king. And, I guess I kind of skipped over the part where her mother dies. Like, it's not made clear why her mother dies or how, But there is a scene where the king is informed that his wife is dying, and he's basically descended so far into madness that he's like, "Can't you see we're having a conversation?" Because he's talking to Maleficent's wings. So Aurora's mother is now dead at this point. Just to put that out there, just to make this uplifting story even more uplifting. So, anyways, she finds out what happens, and she goes to confront Maleficent to find out if it's true. Maleficent lets her know, yes, it is true. And so, Aurora, kind of heartbroken and angry, grabs a horse and takes off back to the castle.
Yeah, this is her birthday that she takes back to the castle now.
Now it is the day of her birthday, so she's taken back to the she's going back to the castle, and Dieval points out to Maleficent that the prince is their answer, right?
Yeah,
the prince that she had met the day before.
Yeah, so, Prince Philip.
So if they can get the prince to kiss Aurora, everything will be fine. So Maleficent puts the sleeping spell on the prince, makes him fall asleep, and they race back to the castle to try to reach Aurora. And Aurora makes it to the castle first. She's presented to the king, and this is basically the first time that the king has seen her since she was a baby, probably like a couple days old, because, you get christened like after a couple of weeks. So she was only a couple weeks old when he last saw her. So he doesn't recognize her at first. And he approaches her, and then he curses out the three fucking morons for sending Aurora back a day early, because they were supposed to keep her for the first day past her 16th birthday. Yeah. And so he curses out the three fucking morons, rightfully so, because they're three fucking morons. And so anyways, he orders Aurora to get locked in her room, which fucking made me laugh, because, she hasn't been in the castle for since she was a fucking baby. How does she have her own room at this point? He could have just said put her in the dungeon or what the fuck ever, but saying her room, what the fuck? You've descended so far into madness. I doubt you've done any preparations to create a room for her. But I digress. Let's pretend like he actually did set a room aside, because that's what he says. Send her to a room and lock her in there for the next 24 hours. So she gets sent to the room, and in the meantime, Maleficent is still racing to the castle with the prince to try and make it to Aurora on time. But Aurora manages to get out of the room, and at this point the magic is compelling her, right? She's looking at her finger, she's got a weird sensation in her finger, she's looking at it, she keeps rubbing it, and the spell has pretty much taken over at this point, and the spell leads her into the dungeon where all the spinning wheels are. And great fucking job of burning the spinning wheels, because they all seem to be intact, 1,000 of them. It's just a room fucking full of spinning wheels. And she goes up to one and she pricks her finger on it, and then she goes under the spell and she's asleep now. Anyways, Maleficent finally gets to the castle with the prince, and she deals with the three fucking morons, and then she tells the prince she sends the prince in first, and the prince deals with the three fucking morons, and the three fucking morons tell him to kiss Aurora. So after being reluctant for about 2 minutes or so, he finally kisses Aurora, and it does nothing. It doesn't wake her up. She's still asleep, and you see Maleficent looking on, being disappointed. And so the prince leaves. The prince leaves, the three fucking morons leave, and then Maleficent and Dieval go into the room, and basically Maleficent is essentially saying her goodbyes to Aurora, because she figures with the prince failing that there really is no such thing as true love's kiss. Mm-hmm. Because this has been a common theme throughout the movie. She mentions it to Dieval. The king even brings it up at one point, that there is no such thing as true love's kiss. So anyways, she's sort of saying her goodbyes to Aurora, but she swears that she's going to watch over her and protect her until the day Maleficent dies. And then Maleficent leans in and gives Aurora a kiss on the cheek. And that's when Aurora wakes up and she says, "Hello, fairy godmother." And Maleficent replies with, "Hello, beastie." So True Love's first kiss was basically Maleficent, because Maleficent was the one that was really attached to Aurora and helped raise her. And she was the one that truly loved Aurora. So Maleficent is found by the king's men and they capture her. And then there's this big fight scene with Maleficent and Diaval, who has now been transformed into a dragon. And they're taking on all of the king's guards. And the king's guards finally manage to trap Diaval and Maleficent. And then the king enters. And the king obviously is clad in iron. All of his weapons are iron because he knows that's the one thing that's going to destroy Maleficent is the iron. And so he's starting to fight Maleficent. And in the meantime, Aurora has ran to the room where Maleficent's wings are being kept in a glass case, a giant glass case. Yeah. And Aurora manages to tip over the case so that the glass shatters and the wings fly out. And they eventually manage to fly to Maleficent and reattach themselves to her. And that turns the tide of the fight between Maleficent and Stefan. And then Maleficent and Stefan start fighting to the outside of the castle. And Maleficent is about to, kill Stefan. And she stops. She realizes that it's not worth it at this point. So she lets Stefan go. And she's like, "It's finished." And she goes to turn her back on him, and he goes to attack her again, and he ends up falling over the side of the tower and falling to his death because, again, uplifting story with uplifting results. And so anyways, because he dies, Aurora is now the king. Sorry, not the king. Aurora is now the queen. I don't know what the fuck happens to Prince Philip because it's not stated at the end of this movie, but we see Maleficent, what's the word I'm thinking of, doing the coronation for Aurora in the forest of the Moors. Yeah. And basically Maleficent says, "You are now ruling over both kingdoms." And, that's when we hear the narrator talk and say, "Not all stories are how they seem, and I should know, for I am the one that they called Sleeping Beauty." So we find out that the narrator, who isn't used a lot in the film, just sort of at the beginning and the end, is actually supposed to be Aurora. So that's how this movie ends. I know there's obviously a sequel to this, but with this one, it ends with peace between the Moors and the mainland, and Aurora being the queen ruling over them.
Yep. I loved it. What did you think?
I so badly want to like this movie. I so badly want to give this a good rating just for its unique take on an old tale.
Your camera's gone there, buddy.
Yeah, I know. It completely cut out. I don't know what the fuck happened. I just looked up and it's gone. So it is what it is. We'll have to deal with that. But so I so badly want it. I so badly want to enjoy this movie and give it a good rating for the different take on a classic tale. Mm-hmm. And basically given the side of the story where Maleficent is good or is won over by good. And the problem I have is this. You had this movie come out to show the good of Maleficent, and then, because this was 2014, and I think 2015 is when the first Descendants came out.
Yes.
And so with the first Descendants, you go right back into Maleficent being like this evil queen with like these evil intentions and being pure evil. So you do this one story of redemption for Maleficent, and then you go and do another movie where Maleficent is completely evil again the next year. So it's just, I want to like it, but because of the Descendants and going going back to Maleficent being all evil again, it just, it ruins it a bit for me, I think.
I didn't even think of it like that. To me, they're just two standalone different films that, I mean, like, I see your point. I get it. I don't know. I really like this movie. The second one is even better.
See, I can't see it as two different standalone films because the characters have the same lore, right? Like,
yeah,
you're still using the same characters. It's different storylines and kind of different settings, but you're still using that same lore of for the characters. Man, I so badly want to give this movie a 7.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going with that.
But because of the Descendants ruining it for me, I'm gonna knock it down to a 5.
Fair. Is that the same as Descendants?
It's exactly the same as Descendants, yes.
Wow.
So it lost 2 whole points because of Descendants. Thanks, Descendants.
Hey, Descendants is a fantastic film, okay?
I mean, you're entitled to that incorrect opinion, but
it's a fantastic film. I mean, I know you can't wait for the second and third.
It's a film. I'll give you that. It is a film.
But yeah, no, the second Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, is actually really, really good as well.
And I'm sure that's something that we are going to be talking about at some point.
It's really, really strong.
But, you know, I'm giving it a 5 because of Descendants and the 3 fucking morons brought it down too, because fuck those 3 fucking morons. You're giving it a 7. Any final thoughts on Maleficent before we wrap everything up?
I mean, like when it first came out, I think I went with my brother to go. I think I went with DJ to go see it, and he did not want to see it, but he's like, "Fuck it, whatever." And we went. And we really liked it. I was hesitant of Angelina Jolie being in it. I was like, "Why?" But I think she did an excellent job as Maleficent. Yeah, no, I like the movie. I don't know. I really did like that movie, and I was happy to watch that one again.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was a unique take on a classic film, and I so badly wanted to give it a 7, but you know, I went into my reasons as to why I gave it a 5. I won't go into it again. Although I will say, because I can't state this enough, that this movie did not need the 3 fucking morons. It certainly didn't need as much of them as much as they were in the movie, which actually wasn't even that much. They weren't in the movie all that frequently, but when they were on screen, they just pissed me off so much. But that's gonna wrap it up for this week. An interesting take on a classic tale. We want to thank you guys for sticking with us while we took 3 weeks off. What's next week gonna bring? Who knows? We'll see when it gets here. But like I said at the top of the show, you can find us on most major podcasting platforms. We're on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and our main source of uploading is Podbean, Ocho and Ortiz, DisneyPod.podbean.com. So be sure you're giving us a listen, give us a rating. Ratings certainly help us out more than you guys realize, as well as leaving comments. And you can follow us on social medias, Facebook.com/Ocho and Ortiz Disney Pod, at Ocho and Ortiz Disney Pod on Instagram, and at Ocho Ortiz Disney on Twitter. Be sure you're giving us a follow. Again, I cannot thank you guys enough for all of the shares. Like I said, 57 shares on the last Muppet podcast, and all the comments that we got. I certainly appreciate it. Even The Little Mermaid, we got a ton of shares, and yeah. I don't think we got any comments on that one, but we got a ton of shares, so we greatly appreciate that as well. The shares definitely help as well. So
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys. And as always, whether you're listening to this in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, whatever time of day it is, where you are, when you're listening, we appreciate you listening. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.